Ooh. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Hello. I am trying to have the chat in a place that I can see. There we go. Oh, this setup is not great. Is my audio coming through? Hello. How about them sunbeams? I'm I was worried I wasn't going to be into this era of baseball after such a long break, and then Nerd Pachiko got put in a peanut shell, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sad. I care about baseball again." Um all they needed to do was make me sad. It was like, "Oh, the Sunbeams won a championship. I don't care anymore. It's fine. They did it. I thought they were never going to do it. They were so bad." No, I can actually still be sad. So that's exciting. I think a lot less tuned in than I was, but I'm still around. Um God, this is such a I haven't actually worked on these weapon play sheets in a long time.
I've just scheduled mine to get picked up this afternoon. Is it
Okay.
let me do that? And I guess we'll have to be separate pickups, which feels like a mess. But no, some of this is fine.
Yeah, I'm like shelling is so much less scary to me now, I guess, because there's still bird weather, right? Like Nerd's gonna get pecked free eventually, probably. Um but yeah, I guess there's a few people here, so oh wait, did I forget? Okay. Blade rigs. So most of the game that I have is only in these sheets and in my head, which is no good. I also have this, I have an intro, I have a little bit about the world that I was thinking through, but it isn't really it's not good. I don't want to talk about that bit right now. And then I have this, which is more a stream of consciousness how to make a weapon. Um which is not very I just got my thoughts down. It is not in any way finished rules, but I'm going to try to be working on this stuff and I think on the assisting and like pushing mechanics and trying to figure out which parts of this are no longer relevant. Because this was just kind of all the different avenues I could think of differentiating different weapons, where they do different types of damage, like crushing or piercing or slashing. They have a range, Like shield is an inside weapon, crossbow is a far weapon, and where's an outside weapon? Longsword. Nope. Spear? Spear. Outside. I swear I have more than that. Axe. Hammer. Yeah, the bigger weapons. Swords are still both inside. Um yeah, so that is kind of I would say that I am taking an approach to both Breath of the Wild and Monster Hunter that is kind of like Songs for the Dusk, where it's meant to be more community focused. Um, where you'll have these missions where you're fighting a big monster, and the monster is a local spirit that has been corrupted. And you're not killing the spirit, you're like purifying it basically through a beatdown. Um, which is the thing that I'm like tweaking and I go back and forth on, but that is kind of the core premise of it. But between fights, you are forging new weapons, you are interacting with the community. A lot of the reason the corruption happens in the first place is that something has gone wrong. Like the balance has been thrown off in this community and you're trying to right that balance, or there's like a specific person that is causing this, or an accident happened and the people in a nearby town haven't realized that the thing that happened is causing this. um so sometimes it's not even like you're not going to fix the corruption by beating the boss. They are just going to disappear for a bit and come back later, same as always. But that buys you enough time to avoid more damage to a close by community in order for you to actually solve the problem. Exactly. Exactly. Hey, stop that. Stop that. I'm going to go fix this thing. Chill out. Um I'll be back. So there are a lot of systems in play right now, that you can see here. So there is amount of damage done, durability of a weapon, range, damage type, and like weight class. And then there's also the spread of actions that can be taken. Um, I want to differentiate weapons through the moves as much as possible, these actions. Yeah, you know what? Like I have also only beaten two of the beasts. I've been meaning to finish it forever, but it's like one of those games where if you take a long enough break, it's like hard to get back to it because you've forgotten how to play everything. Um, which is frustrating. I like every time I open it back up again, I like run around for a bit and I do something easy and then I'm like, how do I get back to doing how do I get back to doing like a beast again? Like I did um the Zora beast and I did the Goron one. So I still have to do the flying one and the camel. Is it a camel? The one in the desert, the Gerudo one. Um, oh no, my phone. Um, what was I saying? But yeah, I'm trying to cut down on these. Like weight, damage type, range, damage durability. This this stuff as much as possible. I think the damage type is staying. I'm not sure. The durability is also staying. I think these other three. Hmm. Yeah. So I think weight can be reflected in the moves to a point where it's not relevant. So, hmm. Whatever. And then I have to think about range. Maybe damage is also a thing that I can reflect in the moves. I'm like, the damage type. I'm like so. I'm hesitating on removing damage type, even though I feel like damage type and range are ones that could definitely be removed. Like maybe I should just have the durability difference. Because so the thing about this game is that I'm trying to get people to use different weapons. And the way to do I haven't pulled up the enemy play sheets. The ways that I have thought about that and the ways I've thought about like teamwork and cooperation. So weapons isn't the weapon weight actually has nothing to do with how many weapons you can carry. It's more about like it's narrative. It's strictly narrative. It's about like if a monster is it's not strictly narrative, but it's meant to be more narrative than some of these. Sorry. Where is my stuff? Where is my stuff? Uh, oh, we could look at my brainstorming doc. That could be fun. Um, so yeah, weight is supposed to be like kind of a narrative thing where it's like, oh, it's easier for you to be caught in an attack or who acts first, right? Initiative bullshit. Um, but the thing is, I feel like that especially is a thing that is done in these moves where it's like being able to gain an action point through a neutral action or having dodge available as opposed to block. Um, so I think weight is gone for sure. I'm still thinking about these other four. Um, but yeah, let me show you these. So like the wolf is the base enemy type, I guess, or the first one that you would encounter typically, where it's vulnerable to all damage types. But if you go to like the turtle, um, you have to use crushing damage to do damage to it, or like do enough damage to it. Because with the shell, you're just not gonna have a good time with piercing or slashing. I'm just wondering if that's interesting in a tabletop game, though. I'm like, you could have a cool moment of like someone with a spear is able to find like a crack or like is able to poke at the turtle like in the eye or something. I'm trying to think. I actually see that feels like an exception that I would put in a move as opposed to just a narrative thing where like Hmm. Almost like if you spend 2 action points, you can target specifically or something like that. Something with a cost like that. Um, which is interesting. So yeah, the way enemy sheets works, um, they only have neutral moves and strong moves. They don't have any weak moves. So far, I'm thinking about adding weak moves um, as like a more advanced option. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So the way this move economy works right now is that each phase, a boss enemy will have 1 action point. So that means that usually they'll do these neutral moves, and then at some point they will be able to spend that action point to do a stronger move. Um, and I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be more action point gain for boss type enemies outside of that. This is the balancing thing that I need to like actually play this game to figure out. Where I'm like, do they gain action points when they take damage? Do they gain action points every round? I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to mess with that once I get to playtesting, but once. Yeah, it's a thing where I'm like, is that the most effective way to make that interesting, or is it actually. So I was talking about the pushing system that I wanted to work on today, right? So is it more interesting to have it be a push for effect type thing instead of another action point? Um, because action point usage, it's more interesting to me if people end up taking more actions as opposed to buffing 1 action. But I guess depending on the weapon, that could be interesting, more or less interesting, especially weapons that were characterized as heavy. Hey, there it is. There it is. Okay. Um, God, my formatting is a mess. Yeah, okay. So maybe I make weapons that are kind of heavier, be able to spend more action points to do a big attack, and then lighter weapons are more about having more options or being able to take more actions, I guess. And I think medium is probably that kind of middle ground. I want to differentiate medium weight in a way, and I don't quite know how. Or did I get rid of medium weight and I forgot about that? I might have. I may be a fool. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's just light and heavy. So more actions or more focused attacks. Because the thing about these is, if you've noticed the mastery track on the side here, I want to have it where when you gain mastery, you are able to gain more action points. Um, Either on a vulnerable action or maybe you start with more of them at the beginning of a fight. I'm not entirely sure yet. Again, this is like a thing that I'm not going to be able to figure out until playtesting. Hi. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna open the brainstorming doc because I need to write that down, and I don't have a place for it yet. Oh, this is such a mess. Okay. In progress mechanics. Weight is gone. Formerly, heavy weapons have strong actions that use up more AP to gain even more effect, do more damage, get around damage type mechanics. Light weapons can gain more action points to take more actions. Is that right? Or is it light weapons are more mobile and can take more actions? I don't know the specifics of that yet. It might be more action points. It might be something else. We will see. Um, where was I? Okay. Okay. Hmm. See the corner that I have blocked myself into is that so much of the boss stuff has to do with ranges. Oh, which makes me think I need to keep it, but maybe I don't need to. Maybe I'm too hung up on that. Yeah, and this is where the damage types comes in, right? Because if you break apart, if you're targeting a specific part and you have that correct damage type, then you can actually eliminate one of these moves. Like this one does a little more damage than this one. Or this one. And then this is neutralizing the annoying, like, dodging move. Um, but it feels like this is too much, I guess, to me. I'm worried about it being too many variables and too many things to keep track of in the middle of a fight. And, like, making things too mechanically represented instead of making them narrative. Yeah. Yeah, see, like, flail is fun because it can do two different types of damage. Mm, Hmm. Where did I write that down? Okay. So I have that. I'm going to think about getting rid of some of these other things, but I'm going to move on to what I kept saying I was going to work on, which is the pushing. So instead of these effects, which kind of do these kind of like small mechanical benefits, legendary effects do more damage, of course, or have better effects. But this is kind of boring, and it takes away from the like narrative aspect of playing this game, and makes fights kind of repetitive. Even though I haven't played this yet, but I'm pretty sure I would rather have something a little more flexible than just these effects. Um, so I was thinking of replacing them with, I guess I call them perks here. And this is inspired a lot by the quirks in Beam Saber, where you can spend a quirk to push yourself and get another dice or get better effect or assist a teammate. Um, this is the same kind of idea here, but like even more flexible because I think that the number of benefits that you can get out of it is more open. Um, I kind of want it to be. I haven't played OSR stuff, but my understanding of like equipment that you have is that if you can provide a reasoning for using a thing, and making it useful, um, because of like rulings, not rules, you are able to use things in like a bunch of different ways and in creative ways that are interesting for the story. I kind of want this to be like that, where you have a specific perk, um, that you can use in ways that aren't just, oh, I'm just helping out a teammate, or I do more damage here, or whatever. Um, where the end result, the end mechanical result, might just be you do more damage, but it's like the path, encouraging the path that you take to get there to be a little um more focused on the narrative, I guess, is what I'm trying to do. Um, so yeah, there's an example here. For instance, if a hammer has fire scales built into it, you can gain advantages related to those scales, such as elemental damage, +1 damage, extra action point gain, etc. You can only activate one perk on a weapon per round, unless you have attained a mastery level of 3 with a weapon. Right. Because I think once you've gotten to mastery 3, you are able to do a lot more things. And I talk about that here. So, yeah, each level 5 experience points. You gain an experience point every battle that you have a weapon, and use at least one strong action with that weapon. I'm debating this qualifier. I want you to use it. I don't know if it has to be a strong action. Um, like neutral actions could be interesting to me depending on the weapon, but some of them don't really have a lot of good neutral actions. There is the issue. Um, like this. Right. I was also thinking of getting rid of light attack. I am more and more disinterested in having like ads in these fights. Um, which I think won't be too much of a problem because I think mostly the wolf has ads, and I don't know that the other bosses do. Yeah. God, I really need to redo these sheets at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna get rid of light attacks. Which leaves something like the gauntlet options besides defensive ones. Oh, that was a fun... I like Ballad of Blood, though. I have to figure out something else to do with that. Ooh. Yeah, Flail doesn't have anything there now. Wait, what was that? Right. Yeah. Um, I have to figure out what I'm doing with these. Because I like having this kind of AoE damage on these big weapons, but I no longer have things to do AoE to. Um, sorry, I know I keep going on tangents, and this is just kind of how it is. um, right. Yeah. I'm saying here that the hope is that a group can run a few battles per session. Maybe that's optimistic. Maybe that's too optimistic. Maybe I need to change the mastery level to a smaller amount of experience points, because I know this is how Blades phrases it, and then the rules don't really enforce it all that well. And I'm trying to make it so that the fights are as short as possible, while still being interesting. They could still end up going a whole session, so I'm gonna have to rethink the balancing of that. But yeah, I'm also thinking about upgrading perks. This is the section that I'm unsure about, but I'm interested in, where there's this distinction between regular effects and legendary effects, kind of reflecting that with perks, um, where you'll need to specifically set up a mission where you're hunting down a legendary item to get a material. And those perks will give you even like greater possibility space to do things with your weapon. Um, but yeah, it might be unnecessary, but it could be really cool. I'm thinking of like end game like shonen manga stuff that you end up pulling off with a legendary perk, as opposed to just like, oh, I have a fire sword, right? Um, God, I'm thinking of Bleach now. I'm thinking about Bankai. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my crimes. Or like Soul Eater Resonance, because I have shonen brainworms. I think I mention those in my inspiration list somewhere. Yep. Trash, trash, trash. Um, yeah, it used to be specifically legendary weapons, which had more effects and like had a legendary effect, but I think forging perks is more interesting to me. So the thing that I wanted to write up is pushing using those perks and like how I'm framing that. So back to brainstorming, back to in progress. Make this bigger. pushing. Hmm. How do I start this? Right, I was gonna look at the Blades in the Dark SRD. To see how it talks about that. Action roll. Where does it talk about pushing? Not here. Hmm. Did I just miss it? Is it in? No. Where is this? Did I miss it here? Okay, it talks about devil's bargains. It talks about pushing yourself. It just says take two stress. Is that it? Is that it? Ugh. Okay, I'm just gonna call this using your perks. Um, when you forge a weapon, you can give it perks related to the materials that you use to forge it. I know. Oh, I do not like that SRD and I do not like the rulebook, but here we are. I sure am writing a game partially inspired by it. um, so when you fight a boss, it's like when you break apart, you get stuff. When you defeat the boss, you'll get stuff that just like breaks off as a result of the fight. Sometimes it'll be like gifts that a boss gives you, depending, like if you're looking for a legendary thing and it's like a test of strength instead of like the typical trying to fix corruption, trying to like stun the boss long enough to go fix the problem. um so you're going to have a bunch of materials, um and I'm trying to think of a way to make material kind of like sliced in stewpot. where you have all these weird components and you get to combine them in fun ways, like in Monster Hunter. Um, that's going to be a whole time to design. I'm excited for it, but I'm also so scared. Um, but for now, those materials is how you get perks. Like narratively, you have to have a material um, that can be kind of converted into a perk. Like again, this is the OSR thing of like rulings, not rules, I guess, where I'm not going to give any specific mechanics for what kind of perks you can put on your weapon. It's just going to be like, hey, get your group to agree on this. If everyone thinks it's cool, then it's cool. You're good. Um, so that's where you get these, and then using them in battle. What did I write down here? I might copy paste this so I can modify it here. Oh, why does this look weird? What is this? Ah, there it is. Okay. That's kind of the explanation. You can only activate one perk on a weapon per round. Depending on the quality of the weapon, I think that's still going to be a thing. Where you can only have up to like 4 perks, right? But in the beginning, oh, right, I was going to tie it into mastery level. I need to write that down somewhere before I forget again. Right, in this section. Weapon mastery determines how many perks you can have on your weapon. No experience points. At mastery 0, no experience points. You can have 2 perks. Mastery 1, 3. No, wait. That's wrong. 1 perk. Mastery 1. 2 perks. 2 perks. 2. 3 perks. And mastery 3. 4 perks. Okay. That's right. That's numbers. So yeah. Once you have filled up this track, then you can have 2 perks. 3, 4. I think this bit that I copy pasted is a little more general because it's not the focus of the forging section. So I think this is where I need to add more detail. So they can be spent for bonus effects in a battle. think this should change order. And then this is, I mean, I'm just going to delete all this, I guess, and start a section that's more detailed. Bonus effects are flexible and can be many things if you have narrative reasons for getting those bonuses. There are a few mechanical, I guess there are a few limits. There are a few limits on how much you can buff the numbers, right? Like, I don't want you to be doing more than double your weapon damage. On how you can, how the benefits of a perk. I don't like that I'm writing this. There are a few limits on how a perk can mechanically benefit you, but you should think about the narrative aspects first. This feels like such game design language, and I don't like it, and I have to think about how to rewrite it later, but now is not that time. I just need to be able to somehow explain it to people and have it be recorded. So the limits are you can't do more than double your weapon damage in one attack. You can't gain more than one action point with a single perk unless it is legendary. Few limits on how where do I put in that these don't necessarily apply to a legendary perk? Probably in a different section. That's next. Okay. Legendary perks are unique because they can exceed these limits. And then I want to add a note about how your group might decide. Your group might decide that they may want to have more or less limits in your game. That's fine. But make sure everyone understands them and they're written down or otherwise noted so they can be referenced easily. I'm wondering if there need to be more limits. I'm like, maybe not. Maybe this is fine. maybe this doesn't break my game too much, and then maybe some people want to break the game anyway, and that's fine because that's their game. Have fun. Um, oh, I know what another one is. You can't reduce durability damage to less than one with a single perk. See, the single perk thing here is important because how I was talking about mastery level of 3 here, where you can use more than one perk per weapon, I want that to be a fun thing to do, where you can combine two perks on a weapon and like do a ton of damage or like take a bunch of actions or like completely the durability damage that you would take. Like I think that's still interesting. So I am specifically um, saying a single perk here, and I'm hoping that gets the message across. But um, I guess I should probably write an example later. Um, I'm gonna have to write so many examples for this game. But yeah, I will probably kind of write examples for regular perks in play and then multiple perks in play and then legendary perks in play at a later point. Not right now, because I haven't playtested this yet because it's not playtestable yet. Um, but I think this is good. I'm not making any rule about stamina. Instead of hit points, the player characters have stamina, right? You're not going to die. You are going to run out of stamina and be forced to like retire from this fight. Um, but I'm not going to make any rule about that because that is a less important currency to me in a fight. Because I'm less interested in people getting knocked out, and I'm more interested in the economy of these things. Your group. I guess using multiple perks would also go here. When you are at mastery level 3 with a weapon, you can use multiple perks at a time. Um, the above stated limits do not apply to using multiple perks at multiple perks. Mercs, multiple perks. Unless your group wishes to change that, wants to change that. Okay. So there, that's kind of this section. I could just copy paste this in this doc, honestly, at this point. I don't know if I should put it before or after forging a blade. Probably after for now. Hey, that's another section. Great. The issue is, I guess I haven't talked about. Hmm. I'm gonna say you can't assist more than one other player character with a single perk. A single round. Single perk. God, it would be cool if you did like a double assist with multiple perks in a single round. That sounds fun. That sounds fun. Okay, so I don't know if only saying the things you can't do is a good idea. I'm like, I should probably say that you could do other things. Um, I should probably write examples. I don't know if I have that kind of writing brain right now, so maybe that's a thing for later. But I should remember to do that. Write examples for using perks. So you're forging a blade, using your perks in this big how to play section. Um, so the thing that has been kind of a roadblock to what is this? Huh. Actually playtesting this game is that I wanted to have a location playsheet the same way that like environments are kind of different in Monster Hunter, and it's like some places are colder and some places are hotter, and you can climb things and you can break things in the environment, all of that good stuff. I wanted to have different environment types and have them be kind of malleable in that same way, like more than that degree in Monster Hunter, because it's kind of a it's not a huge thing. Like sometimes it's yeah. Yeah, I will write examples later. Um, yeah, it's a good idea. Um, but yeah, locations. I kind of want someone who is. So it's not GMing because it could be a different person every time in your playgroup. You just kind of rotate. That's kind of the idea structure I'm having. Like in a belonging outside belonging game where you pick up a thing that you feel like playing. But I'm hoping that whoever picks up the enemy play sheet will be able to kind of reference the location play sheet to also kind of use that to set the scene. Um, but I've been kind of stuck on how. I'm like, I kind of want there to be things that can both help and hinder the player characters. And I'm trying to figure out how to make that easy to GM. Because the enemy play sheet has this like kind of behavior box, and the moves also kind of specify what players they can target. Um, where for Wolf it says Wolf types are fast and agile. They will howl in the first phase, which doesn't exist anymore, so I gotta change that. Um, and then when they're at half health, they will snatch and drag, right? Immobilize any player for 1 round. They take 3 damage now and 2 damage next round. And then they will pounce on players at far range. So if someone's a bow user, they will do damage to them. And pounce has this tag, unavoidable, right? Which means that bow can only dodge. Shield has a block action. Gauntlets have a block action. Some of these bigger weapons have a block option where you prevent damage, exchange for durability. The lighter weapons tend to have dodge, where it's instead evade all attacks. Some weapons, like sword, has parry, which prevents slightly less damage, but is still an option, and has dodge as well. But yeah, this tag means that it can't be dodged, it can only be blocked. I think crossbow also doesn't have a block. I'm thinking about adding a block to crossbow. But yeah, so this kind of gives the player controlling the enemy play sheet a template to kind of GM. Makes it easier on them, hopefully. Hopefully. I don't know how it will be in practice, but turtle. Like turtle types will remain more passive at first. They will use hide often in a first phase. They become more aggressive in later phases as they get more cornered. They're hard to damage, so they're good at escaping given enough time, especially in ocean environments. Bird, which we looked at earlier, and dragon. So the thing that I want to do with the location play sheets is, again, give a kind of similar behavior type thing that's kind of a template to GM in this location. Which I think means giving them features, like geographical features that they can play with and that they can point out to the players. So I guess that they should have a kind of description on the side. Okay. What do I say about a forest? Location, description. Areas with lots of trees. Trees and verticality. Ooh, why is that? Text wrapping. Wrap. Areas with lots of trees and verticality. Vision and hearing can be less, I don't want to say impaired. I want a word that means that, but isn't impaired. Hindered, maybe? mm, because of brush and woodland noise. It's got trees in it. Yeah. I think that might be enough. I'm like, because, um, so the idea is that the location play sheet doesn't change. Obstructed is good. Obstructed is very good. Thank you, June. Um, so the thing that Blade Breaks is like in terms of locations is Into the Breach, where you have the different islands and you do a couple of missions on each island and the like environment is the same even if the objectives each mission is different. I'm kind of picturing Blade Breaks functioning the same way, where you go to an island, you go to different communities on the island which are still in a similar environment. um, so all of the stuff, the enemy types that you will encounter are meant to be in that environment, and you're kind of solving problems related to that environment. Um, and each island, I think, is going to be generated as a group with like certain traits about it. Like you're going to decide on a location type, and then you're going to give it more detail. So I don't know that the description actually needs a lot more than this. I might go back and add a little more to tweak this, but I think it might be good like this for now. Oh, I have hiccups. Exciting. Oh, yeah. Okay. So common features, I think. Oh, I did not spell that right. Here we go. What size are these? 14. Common features. And this is center lined. Okay. Gives me hiccups. Um, Tall trees. Climbable. Hiding places for smaller enemy types. Um, Tangled vines. Climbable. Can trap player characters and enemies. Hmm. I'm trying to think of more things. It's like these location play sheets aren't just going to be active in the middle of a battle. Like while you're like trying to fix the problem that's causing the corruption, you are also referring to the sheet, right? Or when you're like actually tracking down the boss instead of fighting it, or like before you're fighting it, or like after the boss has run away and you're having to track it down. Um, this play sheet is in play for longer periods of time and it can switch hands a lot easier. Mm, ooh, foraging. Food and other materials. Another mm, helpful plants. Help maybe helpful plants first. Helpful plants that can be used for food or other medicinal for food or medicine or other purposes are easy to find here. What else? What else do I need? Um, I'm like, maybe this is enough for now. I'm like, I know that belonging outside, belonging like setting sheets or location sheets or whatever have moves for a place. And I'm trying to figure out how to make that work here. I'm thinking about like you disturb the wildlife, right? Which kind of alerts the boss to something like that. Oh, foliage is good, really. Or like brush, undergrowth maybe. I like undergrowth. Where it like is camouflage as the opposite of that kind of idea. Undergrowth. And I think just moves. Ruckus. Ruckus is a good move name. Disturbing the wildlife can cause them to make a lot of noise and alert the enemy of your presence. Um, I want this to kind of be a mix of helpful and hindering things, right? I think I mentioned that earlier. Where I guess that's part of the common features thing too, where some of these are useful and some of these can be kind of a pain. But I want that to also be an active thing, I guess, on the part of the person GMing. I'm trying to think how to reflect that in a move. Ooh, redirection. There's a thing in Monster Hunter where sometimes you can drive one of the monsters into like a tree or something, or like a dead tree, and it will like stun them or it'll knock the tree down onto them. I'm thinking of something like that. Oh, these are so wordy. I can't seem to write these. I can make this more concise later. um, I just need y'all to know that redirection is a Destiny 2 perk. Um, just thought you should know. So that's two. I want to have at least three. I don't know that I need four, but I would like to have at least three. What things can happen in a forest? Got the wildlife, got the trees stuff. I think the vines I kind of want to be more um influencing like a weapon like bow, which can activate a trap. Um, so I don't want that to be specifically a move. Um, mm, maybe there isn't something else right now, I guess. I mean, this is enough to go on to start another location, I think. I think this is the format. And I might have some more stuff over here. I'm not totally sure yet. But this is a pretty good start. Now I can make the different environments I've been thinking of. So duplicate. And this will be ocean. Coastal areas. Comes with islands. Harder to traverse. And player characters are slower. Maybe it's just harder to traverse. Wading pools. Slows down. Or standing water. I don't know how to say this. That when you're walking through water, you're gonna be slower. Um, Waiting. Maybe it's just waiting. Movement. Player characters are slower. Moving through water. Tide pools. I think this foraging thing, like a big part of Monster Hunter is like going around and gathering like mushrooms and catching bugs and catching fish that like you can turn into like medicines and poisons and things to help on your hunt. I kind of want to have an aspect of that that's not just tied to battle. I'm thinking the ocean one might be more food focused than anything. I think it's going to be a little harder to find like medicinal stuff. Um, Lots of shellfish. Other edible creatures can be caught here. Maybe I don't want to name this tide pools. What other features of an ocean area do I want? There's like some fights in Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate. There was a 3DS one that I played a bunch of, and there's some fights that are underwater where you're like swimming around and swinging this huge weapon, which is so unrealistic, but it's so much fun. And I'm thinking about how to make that part of the ocean environment through features. Um, Something about the depths or something like that. Open areas of ocean near the coast that player characters must swim to.